Hello dear friends, we are having a new video and we are discussing the transits during the May and their effect on the world in general. So we will have some interesting things coming up. That is, Rahu is leaving Ardra Nakshatra here in Gemini. This is happening today or tomorrow, 3rd, 4th May, something like that. On 5th May, Mars will move to Aquarius. And then during the months we will have Mercury moving, the Sun is moving, Saturn goes retrograde, Jupiter goes retrograde, Venus goes retrograde. And then in the end of the months, Mercury will move to Gemini also. Alright, so but before we going to discuss these things, such as a small recap from the last time, from the last video. So we were discussing about Rahu in Ardra, Ketu in Mula Nakshatra. Which is the same placement as it was 9/11 2001 with this Twin Tower accident, allegedly false flag accident incident. And we were saying that Rahu in Ardra is very good for, or very conducive for keeping people in public in illusion, to to create some kind of false narrative. It's good, Rahu. And Ketu in Mula is good for achieving hidden agendas. So therefore in the last video I was proposing that this pandemic that was called that was announced by the WHO, World Health Organization, on the 11th March 2020 goes into the same category of a false flag event as it was the 9/11 2001 event in New York. Okay, so but so that is one thing. Then we were discussing about the Saturn Jupiter Mars conjunction here, which happened in the Purvashada Uttarashada nakshatra, which is about Vishwadeva. So there are many faults, many things are going on underground, many type of fights and disputes are going on. Then especially what I said, this is what I want to talk about now, is that when the Sun moves from Pisces, which is ruled by debilitated Jupiter, moves to Aries, which was ruled by the that time exalted Mars, or is ruled by Mars, which was that time exalted, so to say. I said there will be a change in government, and this happened. This change happened in the 13th, 14th May, April, 13, 14 April. And if you check the news, at the time I got the news here on this channel, and there are two sides, two interpretations to this news. So there was a big speech by Trump, something, and different people interpreted in different way. So this guy, Sasha Stone, he's like a 5G activist and whatnot. He was interpreting this speech as the Trump was saying that that now there was a shift happening in the US government. Before USA was more like a company, a private owned company, and the president was just the CEO of the company, and that was changed now. And now the constitutional republic was announced. So there was a change of that, according to him. And according to these guys here, I will put both the links in the description. They are saying that now Trump has given up the power to the FEMA, to the, I don't know what exactly it is, like Federal Emergency something. So that he actually gave up the power. But nevertheless, what happened is that the change happened in government. It's a very significant change, which I was predicting due to this change from the Sun, from Pisces to Aries. Then the second thing I was predicting is that on the after the 24th of April, Mercury will move out from its debilitation point in Pisces to Aries. And at that time the media coverage will change. So I'm not so much aware what happened in the English media, but I'm following at the moment mostly German media. But there it happened that this newspaper, which is really like the most low-class mainstream newspaper, which just lives from sports and naked women. And their like director came out and he criticized the government for their shutdown and the way they are first denying to wear masks, and now they are saying it's a must to wear a mask and stuff like that. So to hear this, and he brought forward arguments and datas which are usually used only by the alternative media but never by the mainstream media. So this is really like a really huge incident and huge event that is such a the embodiment of mainstream media newspaper comes out and does something like this. So there is definitely was a very big change in the media circle. And also we could see in the alternative media new topics came up and so on. I didn't now look up gathered all the articles, I didn't, so whatever, but this is a very big significant. So since I was like pretty much correct with my assessment, I mean in German we say also a blind chicken sometimes finds a corn. However, so I dare to give some new predictions for the coming months. So what we're going to talk about now, the inspiration for that I got from this video of Ernst Wilhelm. I'm learning from his website quite a lot about astrology, so I also follow his YouTube channel. And here he was saying that Capricorn is, I will also link this in the link is in the description. Capricorn is the ruler is ruled by Saturn, and Capricorn is the natural 10th house, so it's the 10th sign from Aries, and the 10th house is for government rulership, and it is ruled by Saturn. And so he's saying that it is like just an inherent natural law of the world that the government always gets its power from the people, because Saturn is a significator for the common man, for the people. And even this holds true in a dictatorship or in a monarchy, because unless the dictator or the monarch has at least the majority of the public on its side, he cannot sustain his power. So he needs the support of the people. Without the support of the people, no government can hold itself, at least not in long term and not healthily. So the power always comes from the people. So as Ernst Wilhelm was giving these insights, it inspired me for this following way of looking at things, and for this I made this graphic. So if we see Saturn considers Mars an enemy, and Saturn considers Sun an enemy, whereas the Sun considers Saturn an enemy, whereas Mars considers Saturn neutral. But this is a small detail, but more or less like these are inimical. But Saturn considers Venus and Mercury friends. So to say, if the government, and the Mars signifies police and military and so on, the Sun signifies the government, Saturn the people in common, general, Venus is entertainment, and Mercury is media. So if the Sun, the government, directly opposes too many rules and regulations on Saturn, so the Sun directly involves into Saturn, to people, this always will be hated by the people, and in return also the government will suffer from that, because there is an inimical thing. And also if the police is employed towards the people consider this very much inimical and will be not happy with it, whereas the police itself, by its nature, without being conjunct to Saturn, is not considering the people enemies. However, but we had Saturn-Mars conjunction, so definitely the police also was considering the people threatening. Yeah, and we can learn from this that for the government to appease the people, they need to appease the people through Mercury and Venus. Give them entertainment, movies, football games, soccer games, whatever, entertainment like that. And on the other hand, also control the media. And in that way, the government can actually appease the people only through the propaganda and keeping them lulled in enjoyment. All right. So this is one thing I want to mention. And now in this consideration, we're going to consider this transit here. So from the beginning of March, I forgot it was 2nd, 3rd March, something. April, sorry, excuse me. So beginning of April, we had Mars entering Capricorn, and then there was Saturn-Mars conjunction. Jupiter is also there, but we are not considering Jupiter now in this consideration because it will become too complicated. But we just consider Mars, Saturn, and and there we could feel, the people in general therefore could feel a lot of pressure from the part of the government through these lockdown situations, and also the enforcement of the police of that situation. So therefore we could have this type of scenes. This here is from Germany. In Berlin there were demonstrations every weekend, and the police always went in and took out some people randomly, just to make a point that this is actually not allowed. So this is what we see here. Here is this man here on the floor. He's Saturn, common man, and here the guys with the helmets. These are Mars. So this we see Mars in Capricorn, conjunct to Capricorn. So we have Mars Mars in Capricorn conjunct to Saturn. Okay. So we have Saturn strong in his own house, mean the people are ready to stand up for their rights and say no, these lockdowns are not justified by the current scientific data we are having after now 1 month, and we don't want to have forced vaccines, we don't want to have a tracking app, and we are not, so the people are ready to stand up and raise their voice. But Mars is there, it was there, I mean it was before the 5th May, it was there, very strong. Mars is here in Capricorn, exalted. So Mars in Capricorn is stronger than Saturn. So Mars had the power to control the people, to put them down, to put a statement. So therefore we saw these scenes during this Mars-Saturn conjunction in Capricorn. We could see this type of scenes are happening, and this I believe happened all over the place. I'm not aware in the US. I think there were no incidents between police and people much. More in Germany and Austria, it was quite a lot. I saw scenes from Russia where people were fighting with the police. So this is happening here. So now Mars is moving. So he's moving from his exaltation place to the next sign, where he is fine. He is in a neutral house. Temporarily it's a friend, so it's in a friendly dignity, Mars. So we will not expect that Mars there will be terrible scenes where the policemen will be beaten down. This is not going to happen. But Mars is ruled by the people here, and it's a friendly thing actually happening. So what I'm expecting is scenes like this. This is from 2 years ago in France, where the demonstrators here, people, Saturn, were not beaten down by the police. And the police, they, in solidarity, took off their helmets to the demonstrators. So they could see. So we can see Mars has a friendly, neutral relationship to the people. And now in this case, it becomes even friendly. So I believe in May, with this constellation, Mars in Aquarius, Saturn in Capricorn, we can expect such scenes where the police will step down and say, all right, you people, you are the people, we are actually here to serve you, and we don't want to fight against you, and your cause is just, and what you're saying is right. So I think the reason will win. And it's not, I was writing in the thumbnail about civil war. It was a bit clickbait, I have to admit. But it's a peaceful civil war where just reason will win. I believe so. So this is what's happening here. Yeah. So the next thing I want to talk about is Mercury. So Mercury is the media, and we could already see the change in media and the information available and the information coming out when Mercury was moving out from its debilitation point Pisces to Aries. And this will be even accelerated again in May 11th. Because as long Mercury will be with the Sun here, it will be still a bit suppressed by the Sun, because every planet conjunct to Sun is getting combust or getting agitated. But there is a small window between May 11th and May 14th, where the Mercury is in Taurus without being the Sun in Taurus yet, excuse me. And Mercury is here very much delighted by its friend Venus in conjunction and being in a Venusian house. So I believe that during this 4 days period there will be really good media stuff coming out. I mean, more informations will come out. Interesting is also that Mercury rules Rahu. So this whole notion of this pandemic, that this is a very dangerous pandemic, I think this whole storyline will not be able to be held, and there more informations will be made public that prove that this coronavirus is not such a terrible, horrible virus. It is just like a common flu, and the mortality rate is not more than other years in the flu season, and this whole pandemic and lockdown was just to serve another purpose and not actually being in consideration of health of the public. So I think I didn't mention yet that Rahu is moving out of at the same time as Mars takes away the pressure from Saturn and becoming friendly disposed to Saturn. At the same time Rahu leaves the Ardra Nakshatra and goes to Mrgashira Nakshatra. And as we discussed in the last video, that this Rahu in Ardra is conducive to create this illusion of this worldwide pandemic. And so this illusion is breaking at the same time as giving further nourishment to the people, because they will get nourished by good informations. The illusion is breaking down. More science will win over propaganda and so on. So this is, I believe, is going to happen during the second part of May, or this period of May especially. But then the government will move in and will do some take stands against that. It might be with public statements, it might be under the scenes, taking action against media outlets. But I think the government will take quite some hits and will get very bad name during this time, because the Sun will be in terrible great enemy's dignity, because Sun considers Venus an enemy and it is conjunct to Venus, so it will become a temporary enemy also. So it doesn't look good. The image of the Sun, the government, will greatly suffer during this time. But the people become strong, because Venus, Mercury, they are in the ninth house. It's quite a strong aspect. Like more than 50%. Both friends aspecting Saturn, Saturn in own house, conjunct to Jupiter, being delighted. So it will really, people will become strong. Then Saturn also gets retrograde. Even from 11 May on, Saturn will retrograde. So people will become more introspective and will start to think what actually is important for us in our life, how actually we want to have the government to run the country, what actually are the values we are want to stand up for, and so on. All these thoughts will become more strongly during this time. Then Mars, the military and so on, being friendly disposed now to the government. So it's really a time where the government takes a blow in image. People will become waking up more, people will become more informed, and will be able to stand up and demand their rights. And Mercury then moving to Gemini, being in his own house, being very strong, becoming the ruler of Rahu. So I believe during this time more media will publish articles, will come out that will question the pandemic, that will say, that will raise the question where the numbers correct, where the statistics may be faked, where this and that. So this type of things I believe can happen during this time more. Okay. So this is from the side of astrology. Now I want to move on to some spiritual teachings from the Bhagavad Gita. And it is still in context of this, because we were saying here that Saturn is friend of Mercury. So Saturn considers Mercury a friend, and Saturn gets delighted through Mercury. And we also said that the government, if he wants to appease the people, he needs to control the propaganda. Propaganda is neutral. It can be positive, can be negative, but it's just the information people consume. So in this regard, I want to show you these two verses from the Bhagavad Gita, and they say that while contemplating the object of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment lust develops, and from lust anger arises. So we have here Dhyato Vishayan Pumsa. So Dhyato, dhyana is the Sanskrit word for meditation, which can be loosely translated, at least I translate it loosely like that, that where we invest our consciousness, where we put our attention, our care in. So wherever we put our intention in, what we care about, where we put our time and efforts in, or which informations we are exposed to, so in other words also, to that we develop an attachment. So Teja Upajayate, attachment arises, and from this attachment Kama comes. Kama means desire. I have the desire, and then from Kama anger arises. Then it continues that from anger comes delusion. From anger, complete delusion arises. Krodat bhavati samoha. Moha, that is the word for illusion. Samohat smriti vibhrama. So smriti means remembrance. So when from delusion, bewildered of memory, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. Then smriti brahmastat buddhinasho. Buddhi is intelligence. Buddha is the Sanskrit word for Mercury, and Buddha, and it comes also from has connection to the word Buddhi, intelligence. So Mercury is our intellect, our intelligence. Smriti Vrimshat, if the memory is bewildered, then we get our intelligence will be lost, and the intelligence will be lost. We will be drowning in the ocean of material existence helplessly. So, okay. So now what we're going to discuss is a commentary to these two verses. I heard this from my spiritual master. And this is from the commentary of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This is a saint in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya who lived in the last century, and he explains these two verses as follows: that we have these 6 enemies of the living soul, of the consciousness, and these are desire, anger, greed, illusion, pride, and envy. And how these things are developing is described in these two verses here. So we have desire. Desire comes from first where we put our attention, our dhyana, where we get our, then according to that we get an attachment, and then desire. So desire, if the desire is not fulfilled, we will become angry. We get anger. When the anger is there and where the desire is inside, then greed develops. We become we want something, we don't get it, and then we become excessively, unrationally anxious to get these things. This is greed. And then if this is there, as it said then here in the verse, Krudat Bhavati Samoha, illusion arises. So all this together, I mean this greed, this is like a more detailed explanation given by the spiritual teachers about this verse. But then illusion arises. Illusion, we will become bewildered. We will the way we will see the world is not anymore as the world is. That is an illusion. We will become bewildered. And then from illusion, pride comes. Mada. Mada also means madness. So pride and madness are things that are really go very close together. And then envy. And Matsarata, envy means that we are becoming inimical, disposed to others. Or it also means, more correctly, it means if we see others succeed, we become unhappy. And if we see others suffer, we become happy. That is envy. So these are called the 6 enemies. These are the 6 enemies of self-realization, or the 6 enemies of the consciousness of the soul. Alright. So why I'm bringing this up is because we said that Saturn is appeased through Mercury. That means we the people, that is what we are a person here, and this is what's happening to us, this is what's happening to the people. We are appeased by Saturn. So we are appeased by Mercury. So Mercury means is this information that we consume, the where we put our attention and what the informations we consume. So depending on how we feed our consciousness, means this attention, we accordingly we will get attachments and we develop desires. And then as soon this process is kick-started by feeding the consciousness with a certain thing, then we are just subjected to the causalities this of material nature, of this these are just natural causalities in the mind, in the consciousness, natural causalities encoded in the universe by the Creator, no? Therefore it is written in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Vedic scriptures, no? So let's take an example. So for instance, if you associate for 1 month with people who are very, very enthusiastic about football, and if you're a European, you consider football to be soccer. If you're an American, you consider football to be American football. But whatever you think, it doesn't matter. I just say football. So if you're associating for 2 weeks with, or for 1 month with people who are very enthusiastic with football, that means you feed your consciousness with these topics. They always talk about football, they watch football games, they discuss the different players, the different clubs, and how they're moving from this club to that club and so on. And if you expose your consciousness with this type of information, you will develop an attachment for it, and you will develop a desire and a liking for these football games. And once you have the desire to watch these football games, and then now the government comes and says, no, Corona, we have to shut down, no more football games this year, finish. You will feel angry. You will feel angry. And you will have a lot of greed. As once football is on again, you will be just like crazy for it. Already anger is inside. You will become greedy. And then having this desire inside yourself, having this anger inside yourself, inside your subconsciousness, having this greed inside your subconsciousness, you will now have different type of opinions saying, oh, this government and this specific party is very bad because they not allow me to watch football. So according to your desire you have, you will form your opinions and different ways of seeing the world. No, illusions means it's just you're seeing the world in a way it is not. So these are different types of opinions, different types of worldviews. So your worldview and opinion is fueled by the desire you have, which is created through the attention and things you feed your mind with. All right. And then you have the opinion now, okay, this football club is the best, and you will become proud being a fan of this football club, and you're wearing their merchandise and show off your pride. And if some opposite party will lose, you will be very happy. If an opposite party that you don't like will win, you will be very morose. Oh no, this freaking stupid football club won, I don't want them to win. So then we are here. Illusion, pride and envy. And everything is fueled by your association, because you have associated with people who like football. You have this attachment, develop this attachment, you have developed this desire, anger, greed, everything already inside your subconscious is already filled with it. Now you have these different opinions and worldviews about this football game, about football and this, and you display pride and envy. So this is what's happening, and it's not only with football, it is with anything in life. This is a map of our material condition. And most of the people, they are living on this platform only, this illusion, pride, envy platform, and they are not aware of the subconscious area and how these things are developed. But the thing is, these are all causalities, these are all laws we are subjected to. So if you want to change something on this level, and you're going to argue now, okay, you have this political view, the other one has this political view, and he has this view because his association is like that, and he has this certain type of desires which are streamlined with that type of opinion, and the other one has this type of opinion that are streamlined to his desires that he developed because of his association. So if you now on this level, of this illusion level, the different type of illusions crush each other, there is no way this gonna resolve, and this is going on forever, and there is no way you can change the world on this level. Anything cannot change there. The changes have to happen here at the root cause, and the root cause is what actually we consume, what actually of content we consume, what actually we are feeding our mind with. All right. And most people, they are not aware of this. They're trying, and they're living their life is here. All their emotions they have, they are based on their different opinions, on the pride they have, the pride they not have, the pride that got fulfilled and nurtured, the pride that got broken and breaking. What your neighbor is doing, what you like about him, what you don't like about him. I like he did that, I like this happened to him, I didn't like this happened to him. So you can see mainly the basic conversations going on every day, they are happening on this level. So let's read a little bit Bhagavad Gita. This is the next chapter. So these two verses were from the second chapter, this is from the third chapter. And here Arjuna is asking that, O descendant of Vrishni, that is Krishna, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? So he's asking, why? So I am forced to do something, though I actually don't want. And then Krishna says, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So kama esha kruda esha rajaguna samutpavaha. So Krishna explains this here again. So Arjuna is asking, oh, why? I'm just forced to do something, like here illusion. I'm here, I'm forced. Or I'm just like forced to eat this chocolate, though I don't want to. I want to be healthy or something like that. So why it's like that? So Krishna says it is because of desire and anger that develops due to the association with the mode of passion. So due to the quality of our association, we are developing a specific desire, which then turns into wrath and greed and illusion and pride and envy, according to the laws of nature. And therefore you are forced, you are, so to say, remote controlled. So that is the way, if we're going back to this one, this is the way the government can rule the people. They can remote control them by controlling what people consume in their entertainment, Hollywood movies and so on, what people consume through the media, the propaganda. So if the government, where we are here, controls this here, where is your attention, where is your dhyana, then by the laws of nature, automatically they control the outcome, which is your opinion, which is what you strive for, which is your desire, how you want to lead your life. So unless people will become aware and conscious and wake up and emancipate themselves from this and become conscious about their own information they consume and take ownership about that, they will be always remote controlled by propaganda. All right. So let's see what Krishna says more. As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. So, anyway, I'm not going to detail into that because this is talking about different types of living entities, different categories like animal, plants, and humans. But basically it says that thus the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like a fire. So the living entity's pure consciousness, our full ability of being a conscious being, being a creative being, being that divine, being a spark of God, being a small particle of God, all this potential is covered up by desire. And desire means, by the causality, by the laws of nature, all these things are coming with it, growing through it. So all these things, they are covering our real consciousness. Okay, this is what he's saying here. Let's continue. The senses, the mind, the intelligence are the sitting place of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. So, for instance, your tongue, you give association of your tongue with chocolate. Then you get an attachment for it. You have a desire for chocolate. If now you have a desire for chocolate, now your intelligence will start to bring forth arguments. Oh, black chocolate is actually good for health. It increases the blood circulation. Oh, why not? We should take some. It's good to take it because it gives some kind of lucky hormones in our brain, and we will feel happy. And we need that boost. Like the intelligence will be able to bring 100 arguments, 1,000 arguments for why it is good for chocolate. But what is happening here is only that the desire has taken charge of your intelligence. Where is it? Here. It is sitting place is intelligence and the mind. So now your intelligence, your mind, is starting to become servants of where we are here. Here. It's becoming servants of your desires. So similarly, the government feeds us with certain informations. Accordingly, we develop desires. Accordingly, we develop opinions. And then our intelligence and mind will work for their cause. It will start to... So we have now exposed to the propaganda, oh, this virus is so terrible and so on. And now, if you are not aware and you're becoming subjected to this propaganda and and accordingly then, due to the causality of this psychological laws, you will develop your opinion. You start to use your intelligence to defend all these things. Anyway, let's continue here. So therefore, O Arjuna, best of Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin by regulating the senses and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. So Krishna says, don't fight here on this level. You will lose the game. Who can control his anger? Who can control his desire? If once you have desire to eat a certain food, chances are 9 to 10 that you're really going to do it. And if you maybe to be able to withdraw yourself from a desire today, tomorrow you will do it. There is no way you will be able to win this fight on this level. So therefore Krishna says, in the very beginning, curb it by regulating the senses. That means, regulating the senses means, where do you put your attention? Here. This is the place. This is the place where you can win the fight. Alright. So, so this is the knowledge of the initiated. The non-initiated people, those who are not awakened, they're still slumbering. They're still living here in this area, and they think this is all there is, and they do not know about the causalities and laws and metaphysical laws of nature and life. This conversation we are reading here between Krishna and Arjuna, this is the conversation between the disciple and its spiritual master. The one who seeks knowledge of life and the one who has it and gives it. And he's asking a very nice question, why we are forced, why I have an opinion the way I have an opinion, why I'm not able to think another way, why I have to think the way why I'm forced to think in the way I'm thinking, why I'm forced to do these things, though I might have the desire not to do so. And then Krishna explains him, this is the reason. This is because once you have fed your consciousness, you are subjected to these causalities, and on this level you are just forced, you are just subjected to the laws of nature. So if you want to change, you have to take action here. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I would say this is what we need. We need to all wake up. We have to become awakened. And what is a real awakening? A real awakening is that we take ownership of this area of life, that we take ownership of in which direction I want to go, and the ownership is taken here and not here. All right, let's wrap this up. So in the context of our discussion here is what we are going to see. So we are saying that Saturn, the power comes from Saturn. And according to my assessment of the May transits, it looks very good for Saturn. Saturn will be able to take their power. People will become more aware, will be wake up. People will be fed with better informations. So accordingly, they will be able to form more informed opinions. They will be able to stand for their rights. Saturn will go retrograde. People will become more introspective. which is also good for this process, that people wake up and become more aware of their subconscious causalities that they are subjected to, and so on. And the question is whether the world will be good or bad, is whether enough people can become free, independent human beings that take ownership on this level of their own life, and can therefore develop proper informed their opinions that is more conducive to their soul welfare. Yeah, okay, let's keep it like that. I believe I have mentioned all the things I want to mention, and though I would have loved to express the last point a little bit more clearly, but anyway, it's alright like that. So thank you very much for listening. I believe this was rather quite insightful. And human life, according to Vedic consideration, human life is especially meant for diving into this type of knowledge. So definitely study the Bhagavad Gita, but don't just read it on your own, because you will not be able to understand anything by reading by your own. You have to learn it from the proper source, from a spiritual master. So if anything good you can get from me, and that would be the success of my attempt of sharing these informations, is that in your desire, in your heart, the desire awakes for real knowledge, and that desire alone will make all arrangements that you will be able to meet a real spiritual master who can enlighten you the way Krishna enlightened Arjuna. Alright, have a wonderful day, and all the best to you and your family.